Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination, and maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants here. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand, right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, we're going back to paradise. I'm going to be taking you on my personal journey from Los Angeles, California, where I live, to Puerto Vallarta. I'm going to give you a blow-by-blow rundown of the trip. I'm going to tell you the highlights and the lowlights of traveling during the pandemic to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I had an opportunity to interview some of our favorite people in Puerto Vallarta. You know them if you listen to the show. Jimmy Pluff will be talking about Vallarta Food Bank and what they're doing there. I have Reed and Miranda over at Monzon Brewing. I asked them if they would come on and tell us what they have been doing to help out their neighbors during the coronavirus, and then what their plans are moving forward. And Melissa Canes from from Corazon de Niña, she will be telling us about what's happening over at the Casa Hogar, over at that shelter for at-risk children and young adults. And we'll also talk with Mario Morgan. He is the Panga guy over in Boca de Tomatlan. So let's get started, shall we? Now, the first thing that I want to tell you is that if you feel safe traveling abroad during the pandemic, then if you're considering going to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, you should go. In fact, you must go because your friends are all waiting for you there. They really are. A couple weeks ago, I had Hillary and Zoe on the podcast, if you recall. If you don't, go back and listen to that episode. They were there in June, I think the end of June and the beginning of July, if I'm not mistaken. So they were the true trailblazers of returning to paradise when Mexico opened back up to tourism on June the 15th, 2020, after a few months of being shut down during the pandemic. And I was there from August the 8th until the 16th, so I've just been home a few days now. We are now at August the 20th. And I'm ready to go back already. I loved it. It was Puerto Vallarta, my friends. Now, even though the quarantine is not required when I return or when I travel there, my wife won't give me a real kiss yet. She says she's giving me 5 full days, and then after that, she'll kiss me on the mouth. Is that too much information? She doesn't want me to give her the Mexarona. Anyway, tonight, I think it's the night she's going to give me my first kiss. So wish me luck, everybody. Wish her luck, really. I mean, I feel fine. Now, the next thing I want to say is that I understand that many of us, many of you, have our own levels of comfort regarding the virus. Mine may be different than yours. I have to say that my comfort level most likely is higher than most, and I'd be the first to admit that. I even hug my 26 and 27-year-old boys when they stop by the house, and shh, don't tell anyone. Please, don't tell anybody. Just a secret between you and me. Anyway, with the exception of the first few weeks of the shutdown in California, real estate agents like myself and brokers, actually the entire real estate industry was deemed essential. So I've been working with home buyers and sellers and their families and craftsmen and inspectors and handymen and gardeners and even a kidnapping. Yeah. Yep. That's right. I'll tell you about that another day. But I've basically sold more houses in the last 3 months than I can shake a stick at. So I've been working every day. I wear a mask when it's required, of course, because if I didn't, I could get a big bad fine, from the compliance arm of the California Board of Realtors. So who needs that, right? So I follow all the rules. We sign all kinds of forms of agreement and recognition that the virus exists and all that stuff. I mean, I do have to follow all kinds of protocol in my business. Now, in making my decision to return to paradise, I considered a few things. First of all, my physical situation. I'm 61 years old. I'm 6'1". I think I'm relatively fit. I'm 200 pounds. I work out 6 days a week. I take one prescription medication for my lazy thyroid. I have no underlying comorbidities or whatever you want to call those. So I feel pretty good about my survivability if I was going to get sick. Now, I did get traveler's insurance, but I didn't get the coverage for the Rona for a number of reasons. But the number one reason being that there's just a number of treatments and therapies that are available, currently being used out there in and around town. People that I have been in contact with who have gotten the Rona, both in LA and Puerto Vallarta. So I was prepared to use, what I needed if and when I needed it. But, I didn't need it. And if you want to know something about that, I'm not going to talk about it. Send me an email. Maybe we'll talk about it. Anyway, I also, of course, have my eye on the canary in the coal mine. That is Dwayne, the checker, over at my supermarket down the street. Actually, in fact, Dwayne and Richie and Sandy, all those checkers down there, my favorites, are doing well. So I really had no issue getting on an airplane and flying to Puerto Vallarta. I mean, I just don't. So as far as the flight and the airline is concerned, I chose Delta. It was a nonstop flight from Los Angeles to Puerto Vallarta, and a 14-day quarantine is not required at either end of this trip, as I mentioned before, neither in Puerto Vallarta upon arrival or in Los Angeles upon return. Now, that could change, but at least at this time, no restrictions at all. Now, I had to rebook my flight because I was expecting to come down in May, and the flight had been canceled. So, as you recall, Vallarta was on a hard lockdown, and it was closed to tourism between the United States and Mexico, and of course, Canada as well. You Canadians can still fly into Mexico. You just can't do it directly through Canada. There are ways to get in. But I do understand that when you do return to Canada, that you have to lock yourselves down, I think, for 14 days, if not, I'm not mistaken. So that makes it really a lot more difficult for a Canadian to come down and enjoy a little vacation time during the Rona. But if you are American, you can fly down. And so far, at least in California, I don't know, there might be other states where they'll get, a little bit concerned if you're flying in from Mexico, but in California, there is no concern whatsoever. So anyway, I changed my flight to August the 8th, and I intended to spend 10 days. I was going to come back on the 18th of August. I do try to get 10 days in so I can record 20 interviews while I'm down, but the flights kept getting bumped off. First, the departure time from Los Angeles to Vallarta changed, so that was one of those morning flights out of Los Angeles that was bumped out, that was canceled. Then they changed my return flight several times, as a matter of fact, as I waited for August 8th to arrive, and they changed my departure date twice, meaning what they actually did on that side was they slashed 2 other flights, and, just so they could finally fill up this 737 or whatever it was I was on, with the center seat of each of the rows of 3. All of those were empty. Anyway, I lost an entire day in the deal, but if that means that I get to return to Puerto Vallarta faster, then why not? So anyway, at least for the short run, if you're traveling by air, you may need to be a little bit flexible on your departures and arrival dates. At least it was for me, and I suspect that it might be for you as well. Now, I did my online check-in. I was directed to a page that was dedicated solely to virus questions. Asked various questions like, have I had COVID-related issues? Do I promise to wear a face mask during the entire flight? And they made it mandatory, by the way. So from Los Angeles, if you actually do have to wear a mask for the 3-hour duration of the flight, unless, of course, you're having a drink of water or munching on a snack or whatever it is. You can pull down your mask and do all that, but you are required to wear your mask the entire time. When I got to the airport, masks were required inside the terminal at all times. When I got on my flyaway bus, they wanted me to wear a mask to, get to the terminal. Of course, if you're eating or you're drinking at the terminal, you're not shoving the food through your mask, so you can take it off. But when you're checking your bags in, they actually ask you a similar round of questions, that kind of security questions that they asked when you were making your ticket arrangements online. So they want to make sure that you are healthy and that you sign that you're healthy. They also want to make sure that you agree to wear a mask. The security screening was a breeze, just because there weren't a whole lot of flights, right? And the waiting areas. Oh, and by the way, they make you pull down your mask so that they make sure that your face matches what's on your passport, of course. So when you're sitting around and you're waiting, there were the seats in the areas were blocked off so that you could social distance, and people were either spread out or they were standing around. And when they were boarding the plane, after they called the first class boarders, they started boarding the plane from the back seats to the front seats. This is a lot different than normal, right? Normally they'll say they'll call the first few rows. Well, this way they started in the back, and that way people aren't crowded together. Actually, it is, if you ask me, it's probably one of the good things. Kind of, maybe we'll call this a silver lining in this entire virus thing, the boarding process, right? I mean, who knew? So, yeah, so they board from the back to the front, and then when you got off, the front all the way back to the back, and very orderly, so there wasn't a lot of crowding. I was very happy with everything that happened on the entire flight. When we got to Puerto Vallarta, in addition to the tourist card and the customs declaration form that we had already gotten on the airplane and that we had already filled out on the airplane, they handed you a COVID form, basically asking you the same kind of questions that you just got done answering, first online, then second at the airport, and now you have arrived in Puerto Vallarta. And they do have a little tracking built into this one. They want to know what your flight number is. They want to know what your seat number was, where you'll be staying. So there's that, right? So anyway, you get this little note, and you get off the plane, you fill it out, and you hand it to a person who's sitting at a desk that everybody shuffles by. She's dressed like a nurse, so sure she is, of course. And then she shoots your arm with a digital thermometer and waves you through. So, everything was just like normal. As a matter of fact, except for one thing, when Hillary was talking, she said that the air conditioning was not working back in June. Well, it's on now, thank goodness. And like I said, everything's kind of back to normal. You clear immigration first. You walk and get your luggage. And then customs has still got the green light and red light thing going on. And then you take a little walk through the timeshare cellars where the Shark Tank is there, just like old times, with the exception that there's masks on everybody. So all those banditos over there in the Shark Tank, they actually look like real banditos. Then my friend Dean Dean Rager from Cacao Magico over there at Puerto Magico, which is, getting ready to get cruise ships coming as soon as cruise ships start coming back. He's thinking maybe January or February, but we'll see. And he gave me a ride over to the Molino de Agua, over to Skip's stunning condominium. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that adventure. Actually, here, let me tell you a little bit about what happened with Skip's. Last week, I talked to you about Skip. Skip is a friend of Rodolfo. Rodolfo is the blind tenor who walks on the Malecon and sings. He wears this karaoke machine on his chest, and he's just got the most beautiful voice. And Skip had offered me an opportunity to stay at his condo. I didn't realize how grand this condo was until he sent me a link to it. And pointed out that, by the way, I have not rented this place out in several months because everybody canceled all the reservations because of the pandemic. And, basically the Molino de Agua had been closed to anybody who was going to be staying there and as a rental. So he did warn me. He said, if by chance somebody does send me, a reservation, then you may need to be ready to move at any time. Is that okay? And of course, I told him, what's more important to me, Skip, is that you make money on your condo. So if that comes to being, if that ever happens, it's not a problem. There are hundreds of Airbnbs. Not only that, but all kinds of hotels and just great places to stay right now, because it's not only low season, but the Rona. So I said not to worry, everything's fine. So until the very, very last day, actually on Friday, everything was fine, and then I got a call from Skip, and he was very concerned. I could hear in his voice that he was nervous, and he said, "Barry, I've got an issue. You'll never guess what happened." Of course, I knew what happened. Somebody wanted to stay at his place. So he says, "Yeah, it's the first time in months that anybody has sent a reservation." I tried to dissuade them, told them they couldn't use the pool, and so on and so forth. But they really, really want to come, and they're going to be coming on Tuesday, I believe. But we'll see. And he said, "But don't worry, go ahead and go over there and enjoy it. And let's just play it by ear, and don't make any reservations until something happens." So I told him not to worry, Skip. I can't wait to go and visit your place. And when I got there on Saturday afternoon after landing, I got a tour from a lovely lady, Anna Maria, gave me a tour of the place, and it was and is it's a palace, you guys. It's like the entire fourth floor of the Molino de Agua in Tower 1. Now, this tower is very unique because it's got a wraparound terrace, so you're looking at the Malecon extension right in front of you, and the Rio Quale and the swimming pool and the beautiful grounds of the Molino de Agua just over on the other side. So it is a unique location. And Skip has it just so beautifully decked out. Just gorgeous, gorgeous artwork, local artwork. If you could ever stay at this place, it would blow you away. And, travertine floors, just beautifully lit. I took a tour, and I took a video, and I will embed it in the show notes for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. If you're watching today, when it first comes out, we are August 20th of 2020. Give me a day or two to put together that page, because I'm just getting back to work. But anyway, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful condo. And so, as it turned out, as Tuesday came up, yeah, I had to move, and it was fine because that place, for one guy, I was feeling really bad. And not only that, but Skip's got to make some money. Come on, Skip's got to make some money on this place, and so I was able to move to a Airbnb, which I'd already stayed at before. And get this, it was $19 a night, air conditioning, 1.5 baths, and it was right up on Honduras, right next to Meño's place and La Traviata. There's a couple of restaurants right up there. So perfect. It all worked out really well. And it gave me an opportunity to not only, stay over at Skip's place, but to transition into a different place during this time of year. And let me tell you something. When I got over to the new condo, the new Airbnb, there was plenty of fabuloso in the air, if you know what I mean. There was a lot of cleaning and scrubbing that was done there and just made the place spick and span. So anyway, right now in Puerto Vallarta, it is mandatory to wear a mask when you're outdoors, except for when you are on the beach. Now, you need to wear masks in shops and in markets and in restaurants, of course. I mean, as you approach the restaurants and when you get inside. Now, all the entrances to all the public places have these little shallow trays. They are maybe like a 1.5 by 1.5 feet, right? And you step inside of them. There's like a little bit of liquid or whatever it is. This is disinfecting liquid. And then you step on top of like a carpet or something like that, and you wipe your feet off of that. Then there is a squirt bottle with antibacterial soap, which you squirt into your palms and you rub them in and you up your arms and wherever back, behind your ears, wherever you want to put that stuff. It's just everywhere. Everybody has got it. And then as you walk in, they'll stop and they'll shoot your arm with one of these laser temperature gauges and just make sure that, that you don't have a fever and so forth. Now, if you're in a restaurant, what they'll do is they'll do all that stuff and then they will walk you to your table and they'll wipe off the chairs, they'll wipe off the table before you sit down. And at that point, you can take off your masks and you can converse, eat, whatever you do. Or, if you're not comfortable taking off your masks, you keep on your masks. Just, pro tip, take them off before you start eating or drinking for that matter, because it just gets so messy. And, how many of those things can you carry around? The servers over at the restaurants and the cooks and the chefs, they're all wearing masks during your meal when they're serving you and while they're cooking in the back. And as a matter of fact, my very first meal that I had when I was in Puerto Vallarta was over at Tony's Please, where I met Marcia Blondin from the PV Mirror. I've had her on the show. I had one of the best filet mignons that I've had in a long, long time. And of course, I had some great conversation with Marcia, who is over at Arte Viviente, and I have her on an upcoming episode, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, it was great to see Tony and to have a really good meal. He was, he had fewer tables, so the tables were a little bit more separated, but he was doing well. He was busy, which was really, really great. While I was in Puerto Vallarta, I took Ubers, I took cabs, I took buses. Now, Uber drivers, for the most part, they wanted me to sit in the back. I like to sit in the front and talk with these guys, but the Ubers are all get in the back. Anyway, before I got in an Uber or a cab, always made sure that the mask was on. The cab drivers would let me sit in front. They let me sit in front with them. And they would always pull their masks on and get ready to take off. So when you would get on a bus, you were required to wear a mask while you're riding. And I did my best to avoid crowded buses. But, they fill up. And, you really can't be in control of that kind of thing. I hopped on the Ms. Maloya bus to get over to Boca de Tomatlan to meet Mario, the Panga captain, and I grabbed a seat early on, and before I knew it, the entire bus was packed. The seats were packed, the aisles were packed, people were hanging out the doors. I mean, here's where I was looking around, I go, okay, I'm going to take one for the team, here's where it's going to happen. And anyway, on the way back into town, same thing happened. Just packed like sardines once again. Everybody was wearing masks, okay? But that's what happened. So anyway, I ran the gambit. Like I said, I was on cabs, I was on buses, I was on crowded buses, no less. Ubers, like I said, all of them, zero issues, except for that twitch that I, came down with. But just kidding. There was an issue. Right away, I noticed something, and it was my eyesight. It was my eyes. It was really hot. It was really humid. Okay, this is my first August being down there, and it was really hot. But the sweat was coming down and rolling into my eyes, and it was, dripping, down from my forehead. And because I was wearing a mask, my breath would be coming up through the top of the mask and up into my eyes as well. I'm wearing sunglasses, so I've got water coming down. I've got this moisture coming up. So I had this nasty conflagration happening right in my eyes. Anyway, after the first day, I realized what it was, and so I was able to solve it by just keeping a rag handy in my pocket, keeping my forehead properly mopped, and so forth, and that was able to fix that. But yeah, it was just that weird stuff, just the breathing and the moisture coming up and the moisture going down. It was just a very, very strange combination. I visited JR, got him out of the house. JR is 80 years old, so he's been very cautious. So I tried my best to kill the guy off, but it looks like he survived my visit. And by the way, if you're coming to town or you're planning on coming to town soon, make sure you book a tour in advance of your next visit and keep JR in pesos. He needs your business too. And you can find him, of course, at www.vallartainfo.com. Check out his tours and see what's good for you the next time down. This time down, I packed 4 identical button-up 100% lightweight white cotton shirts, and I'm really glad I did. I got them on the Amazon. It was just hot. It was humid every day, and my plan was to wash the shirts and hang them to dry and rotate them in and out during the trip. Some days, it was so hot. I had 4 shower days. I had 3 shower days. It was just that hot and humid. So I would have, costume changes, and these shirts were great. They worked out really, really well. And if you are interested, I'm going to put a link to them in the show notes, so check them out for sure. A couple of things that people asked me, and I thought that I would answer. First of all, many people were wondering whether or not they were going to push the button and close everything down again. And I have some inside information, and I'm going to tell you, if you live down there and you think that they're going to close that place down again, the answer is no. It will not happen again, okay? Just don't ask me how I know. I just know. Got other people, they want to know about the guys selling the pot and the pipes and the cigars. Are they still around? Over by the OXXO, over at the extension near the park, and the answer is yeah, they're still there. Okay, just in case you were interested, and one day I'll talk a little bit about that in a show coming up in the not too distant future, but not today. Are the clubs open, and what is open? So the clubs are opening. They did open the week that I was there, and I can tell you that Mandala and the one next door to it and the cow place, They are rocking. The Cow Place wasn't quite open yet, but the other two were. And there was no dancing. They were actually that you could eat. So they were playing the music and people were sitting at the tables and they were kind of dancing in place. And by the time I left, they were dancing. Okay. So that's what I can tell you about the Guadalajarans. Those Tapatios, those silly Tapatios coming to visit and to flatten the curve, if you know what I mean. So they were dancing. When you're walking up and down the Malecon, you need to wear a face mask. I have pictures of the signs that they have up and down the Malecon, and they're in English and they're in Spanish, and they are specific. And when you walk onto the Malecon, you most likely will find a local Vallarta cop just checking to make sure that you are wearing your mask. So if you are approaching the Malecon, make sure that the mask is up. Because they're stopping people. I did not see them stop a single person, even with or without masks. But being a visitor, I wanted to make sure that I did everything right. And I didn't want to give them an opportunity to give me a ticket or to bother me because I just happened to be flaunting the law. And so I do this at home. And if you are all wise enough, do it there too. I would say wear the mask up where they say you should mask up. What was open, what was closed? So I would say most of the places on the Malecon were just beginning to open up when I was there. And a lot of people that I spoke with said by September 1st, they will be open, they will be serving food. So, but a lot of food service places are open. La Chata. I mean, you can go down the line. They were all opening up. So you won't miss anything. Now, what's really weird is when you're walking down the Malecon, they've got they've got this yellow caution tape all over the place. You can only walk. You can't really walk to the ocean. You can't walk the entire width of the Malecon. They've got it kind of taped off with this cinta amarilla, this tape, cinta, yellow tape. And they actually have that yellow tape around Parque de los Azulejos. You can't go inside there. You cannot sit down inside the park. Hidalgo Park is the same way. It's been taped off. The track, around the stadium there, it's all been taped off. You can walk up to the cross if you want to do that walk. I did not do it because I didn't want to have to wear a mask walking up all those steps. A lot of people are doing that, but that will not be me. I will not be able to do that. I'm healthy, but I don't want to do that. Okay. What else can I tell you? What else can I tell you that's going on? If the only difference is between the regular Puerto Vallarta and the Vallarta that you will encounter when you come here during the pandemic are these protocols at the front door, which you will see all the time. It will become automatic to you. And the fact that, you got to remember to bring your mask with you when you leave your place. Otherwise, you're going to be turning around and stomping back to your place and grabbing another mask. You can buy masks just about everywhere in Puerto Vallarta. And if you want some fancy, beautiful masks, they've got the fanciest, most beautiful handmade ones. They've got tons of them from China. They've got, every freaking where you turn. So bring a couple masks if you want. But if you want to have something, beautiful to bring home, you can buy them there. And not too expensive as well. All right. I saw Jose the Muffin Man. Where he hangs out. He hangs out over at the, the Cheeky Monkey or whatever it is over there. I had breakfast with him. We went over to Langostino's. We sat down and we had a nice talk. He had been home the entire time since March, or I guess April or whenever it was that everybody had to go home in Vallarta. And the week of the 8th, when I was there, was the first week that he was actually out on the Malecon. He looked great. He was wearing a mask. And I said, "You're coming with me, and we're going to sit down." So we had a nice breakfast together, had a nice talk, and he misses you all. He misses you all dearly. I've got a picture of him in the show notes. Of course, you can find it at www.puertovallartratravelshow.com. I saw Rambo, and I spoke with Rambo. So funny when you see Rambo. I walk by him and I say, "Hey, Rambo," and he goes, and then he turns around and goes, "Oh, you." It's hilarious. Yeah, me. So anyway, he's looking okay. He had a burn on his shoulder. They explained to me. He's still living on the streets, but when I saw him, he was walking with a couple of his suitcases full of clean clothes that he was going to go deliver to one of the places that looks after his stuff. I had an adventure with Salvador Estrada, the Candyman, the man in the wheelchair, and I'll share that with you next week. And it was quite an adventure, and I visited him at his house, and it was one of these things that will give you an eye-opener into the life of somebody in a wheelchair in Mexico. Where'd I eat? I ate at La Palapa several times for breakfast. I ate at La Traviata. Beautiful, just got a beautiful view. I ate at Freddy's Toucan. I ate at the Pancake House. I ate at Cuates y Cuetes. I ate at De Cantaro. I ate at El Rio Barbecue, Captain Don's, Vitea, Tony's Please, like I told you before. Let's see, Meño's Place, Barcelona Tapas. These guys are all open, right? El Barracuda, Rio Grande, and more. Leila's, everywhere, okay? I ate at all these places. They're open, and they are all following very, very close to the protocols, and you got to go. Like I said, all of these places had limited seating, so that there was proper distancing. They pulled out some tables here and there, strict protocols for cleaning. All the servers were wearing masks or face shields. It was very, very impressive. It was very, very safe, and I can't wait to go back. In fact, as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to go and make some plans to go back and check out some flights. All right, now let's go ahead and get to my interviews. If you have any questions, by the way, about anything having to do with my trip, you just write me at www.puertovallartratravelshow.com. Go to the Contact Us tab and click that on and send me a message, okay? And ask any question. I'm happy to answer any question for you. All right, now, my first interview is going to be with Mario, Super Mario. He's my Panga captain from Boca de Tomatlan. I sat down with him just for a quick talk while we were waiting for lunch over at Fanny's restaurant in Yelapa. Yeah, we went to Yelapa. It was beautiful. They are waiting for you in Yelapa, you guys. You need to go. Okay. All right, let's hear from Mario right now. Take it away, Mario. Mario, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, so Mario, I mean, here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and here we are in Yelapa. Everybody okay?
Yes, I feel safe already.
Tell me about how things have been. Are you starting to get some work now that things have calmed down a tad?
Yes, sir. We started like a month ago. All the places now, they're getting some clients, and everybody starts saving some money, making some money, and I can say we are okay. Not many people sick. They follow the rule they're using mask. They're using some alcohol for sanitizer. So they're doing very good. We are doing very good.
Excellent. Yeah, and I can attest to that, you guys. It's like, okay, so it is kind of like Halloween. You do have to wear a mask, But when you go to a restaurant, you can take off that mask after you wash up. They have all these great ways to sanitize your hands and your feet, and they check your temperature. It's pretty cool. It's a good deal. All right, so Mario, tell everybody how they can find you, Mr. Pangoman, Super Mario. How can everybody find you?
Well, they can follow me on Facebook. I have my web page and Facebook, Mario's Tours in Puerto Vallarta, and the website, Mario's Tours the Best.
That's right. They are the best. And Mario is the greatest tour guide. So, Mario, thanks for talking with me, brother.
Thank you, Barry.
All right, way to go. Now, Mario is still available to take your reservation if you want to send him some money. I've got a link to him in the show notes, and you can reserve him for a day if you want to, and that's what I did. And check that out over in my show notes. Now, the next talk we're going to have, I took a cab with my buddy Anastasio Vargas. He's the artist from the Malecon. Anastasio and I went over to Vallarta Food Bank, the new location there, and he was putting his final touches on a painting that he did over at the food bank and that mural that he did on the outside of the wall. And I have pictures of him actually standing out in front of his mural over at the food bank. And of course, you can find those in the show notes at, PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. Now, don't forget, when you do come to Puerto Vallarta next time, for sure you need to go and see Anastasio. You know where he is. He is right at the base of the bridge as you come up over the Rio Quale and drop down onto the north side of the bridge. So anyway, let us go right now to Vallarta Food Bank, and let's see what's happening with Jimmy Pluff and what's cooking at their new facility. Now here we are at Vallarta Food Bank, and we're at the kitchen and their new facility, and I have Jimmy. Jimmy Pluff is with me today. How you doing, Jimmy?
Doing all right, man. Trying to be socially distant.
I know. This is kind of, this is what happens. You put a microphone on a big, long stick, and that's how it all works. All right, so we haven't been to your new place, so tell us a little bit about this facility.
Well, it's exciting. It's been a ton of work to get it up and going and put everything together and build things and change things and paint this and fix that. And, if everything had stay fixed for like 5 minutes, I'd be really happy, because every time I fix something else, the sink decides it's going to blow up. Who knows? So it's been busy. It's been keeping me very much occupied. I haven't been posting a lot on Facebook because it sucks up most of my day between this, delivering dispensas, or just kind of filling in where I need to fill in. Frankie basically lives upstairs in the office doing, and then Francie does her end from Bonito Kitchen, which is keeping her busy. So we're all three of us very, very busy, very much occupied.
So tell us what goes on in this facility.
Okay, well, when you came in the front door, immediately to the right there is the dry goods storage. So we have our oats and our rice, beans, maseca, everything. Most of the things that go into the dispensas that we make are in that room, in bulk, and then they come across the hall into the what used to be the dining room of the house, but now it's a portioning room because it's air conditioned and dehumidified, so that when we open these bags of these things, we don't risk getting moisture in them, so they get moldy and so on and so forth. It's kind of an important thing, actually. We've discovered that, the stuff in the bags, if it goes in a very humid environment, can start to, especially the oats, will get a little moldy. So we're trying to avoid that, do it in a dry environment, and do it in a very clean and sterile environment. We've got it, sealed off so that whenever we're portioning, it's very clean. People wearing gloves, masks, socially distanced. And we do it as clean as we can because we definitely don't want to be sending out a bag of oats with a little COVID in it or the flu or anything else because it's hard enough without that. So again, it all comes through the portioning room and then comes kind of through the kitchen where the soup kitchen is into the bodega that we've built here. This was all brand new. None of this was here except for the concrete you're standing on. And we had some concrete guys come, and I hung some lights and some fans, and this is where a lot of the magic happens as far as packaging the dispensas. If you look behind you there, we've got several made, and they've got a letter on them and a number that lets us know how many there are in that stack, and then where it goes as far as the schedule on the wall. Those are for desembocada, and there should be 60 of them according to this schedule. And that's how we keep track of all this. We've got a spreadsheet and a database and an inventory, and everything is tracked now, which way better than when we first started. We were just kind of winging a lot of it in the first month because it was like the need just skyrocketed from day one. Now we've kind of got a rhythm, and we've got a budget to stick with. So when people go, oh, why don't you go here or there? Well, we have to stay within our budget, and we have to keep it real because, like it or not, donations have slowed down, and we've got it managed so that we can keep going through December as far as dispensas go. And what we're trying to do is start shifting people over from dispensas to a soup kitchen. Because a lot of people have run out of gas, and I figure hot food, local to you is a lot easier, requires less of you. I mean, yes, you've got to go get it, but at the same time, it's already cooked. Also, it lowers our cost exponentially, so that's why we're trying to do it. Like the other day, our total cost to feed 168 people was 456 pesos. And they all had enough for two smallish meals, but with a good nutritional content. I mean, there was the lentil soup we made Friday had turkey and lentils and potatoes, carrots, onions, all kinds of good stuff in it. And it was a good heaping portion. So we portioned that out. 168 people were served, and it was 468 pesos.
Wow. That's actually very, economical.
Yeah, it's much more economical than dispensas. While that does take care of your average family for a week, doesn't help if they don't have gas to cook it. A lot of people that we've talked to go to their neighbor's house that still has some gas, or they're cooking on wood or whatever they've got to cook it. It's a little more of a challenge, and I think it's just a better thing all around. Some people aren't loving it. They're like, well, I'd rather cook my own food myself at home. And I'm like, look, this is what we can do. We have to do this, or we're not going to be able to carry this. The funding just won't last if we don't do it this way.
All right. So that means, that's a call, I think, to send some money over to Vallarta Food Bank, if you ask me.
Yeah. We're always hounding for more. I think, I couldn't say what the exact numbers were. We just did the expenses for last month, and I want to say it was something like 150, 200,000 pesos a week in dispensas. Whereas, if we could do it for 1,000 pesos a day and feed 200 people at a time, maybe we could do that in more areas instead of spending as much as we are in dispensas. While dispensas are infinitely more popular, it's not about doing what's popular, it's about putting food on tables. So that's what we're trying to do. That is the goal. We have a lot of hope for this facility to be more than just food in the future. Post-COVID, we'd like to do not just food. It'll definitely have food involved, but educational programs and different opportunities for people to kind of get them out of that situation where they're kind of stuck. So that's the goal. I mean, if they're living in a pallet house, and they have been for years, we want to kind of change that situation so maybe they're not as dependent on us in the future, but we're going to offer them some opportunities educationally and, hopefully change that.
All right, that's excellent. All right, so how many families are you feeding right now?
Right now, I'm not sure on the count for this week, but last week we did something on the order of 1,500 or so dispensas. So it's 1,500 families a week times the month, and you get about what we're doing this month.
Okay, so that's, this is God's work, my friend. Look at you go. All right, so I see a schedule here. How is the volunteer situation?
A lot of people have gone back to work, or they've gone home to the U.S. or Canada. So we've got people kind of dropping off here and there, but we're bringing in new people as often as we can. We always use more help. Go to the website www.vallartafoodbank.com. Click on the volunteer link. They'll get you all set up. We always need volunteers for the kitchen because that is a ton of work. I don't know if you've ever prepared 200 meals.
No.
Well, preparing 200 meals and having them all ready by 2 p.m. is a lot of chopping. I think we chopped 5 kilos of onions the other day.
Oh, wow. Lots of tears.
Yeah, lots of tears. And then we chopped up, I think, 10 kilos of carrots. We cooked up 10 kilos of ground beef. You name it. It's extensive. It's a lot of work. So the more hands we have to help us with that kind of stuff, the volunteers we have are fantastic. They're great, but I don't want to burn them out. So if we can work a few more people into rotation, I think it'll work out great. We have the dispensas made at a different time of day so that those people and the kitchen folks aren't mixing. We are very careful to try and keep people's exposure to a minimum.
Excellent. Very, very good. Okay, so remind everybody again, how do they find Vallarta Food Bank?
www.vallartafoodbank.com, or you can look us up on Facebook at Vallarta Food Bank.
All right, excellent. Jimmy, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, if anybody's got a spare desk, I could really use one. I don't have a desk. I kind of work on, whatever I can find. And Frankie's got a desk, and we've got a little folding table up there for our help, and we could always use anything at all. The best thing is money, because we're always spending. It's always going out. Oats cost money, beans cost money, rice costs money, lights cost money. So now that we have this facility, yes, it's the rent is inexpensive, but lights cost money, gas costs money. We're gonna have to buy more gas to keep cooking food. And the hope is that we're able to scale up this kitchen and prepare more food for more areas. We're looking at our database because we've got every dispenser that goes out, there's a name and a location associated with that. So we look at where the most need is, and that's probably where our soup kitchens will head first. So, we may prepare it all here, but serve it there. Some we can bring a folding table and a couple of pots and a tent and just scoop it out. The way it works now is people bring their own Tupperware or containers and we let them tell us, what their need is. We scoop them some hot food. Somebody came through the other day. Oh, I got 6 people live in my house. Give them 6 scoops of food and send them on their way. And again, we're trying to do that and figure out which areas need more first, so we can start serving those areas first and get them off the dispensas and onto the soup kitchen. Some areas we can't do a soup kitchen, like Desembocada and Las Palmas. It's so spread out, it's going to have to remain dispensas. But dispensas are our single biggest expense normally. Tons and tons of food. You saw the supply room when you walked in. That's just for this week. We'll go through everything in that room this week and still need more.
All right, guys. So you know what to do. Thank you again, Jimmy. Thanks for all you do here, and thanks for what you're doing for our friends here in Puerto Vallarta.
No problem. We want to keep it up. We want to keep it going as long as we can, and we want to get through this COVID thing and come out the other side and be that center of the community that we're hoping to be. and provide more than just food. We want to provide opportunity and hope. And so that's where we're hoping to get to. And with everybody out there supporting us, I think we'll be able to pull it off. But we need you to keep supporting us. We love you and we appreciate you. Volunteer, donate, like us on Facebook. Sharing our posts helps, because maybe you don't have a little extra pocket change, but maybe some of your friends do and they love Vallarta. Send it out there and see. I mean, it can't hurt and it costs nothing. So there you go.
Excelente. Thanks, man. Thanks very much.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, what a great job they are doing there. Please, if you can, do what you can. Keep that money flowing and help support the families in our little pueblito, the place that we call Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I have links that will get you to that give link, and you can find it, of course, at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Now, next, we're going to go visit our dear friend, Melissa Canes. Melissa is over at Corazon de Niña, and Corazon de Niña is the local home for at-risk children, right next door to the Versailles Colonia. Let's go see how they're doing. Let's go see what they need and check out what their plans are. Hey, Melissa, thanks for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you, Barry, for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on over at Corazon de Niña during this pandemic time and how people can help.
Wow, it's a big question. First of all, what's going on? Well, we've had to adapt in so many ways. Of course, like everyone else around the world, it changes everything. So, back in March when we were kind of in the middle of a great season, all of a sudden everything was canceled and pretty well everyone left. And we were faced with that shortened high season, which we count on every year, to have a little bit of a buffer to get through the long, low season here, with so many kids and so many projects and needs and so on. So it was a shock and a little bit scary, I have to say.
I bet.
And people started canceling. Some of them canceled their monthly support, and you can understand why. They have their own issues. Everybody does. So we had to just really have a lot of faith and do a lot of extra praying to, literally asking God to ask people to not forget about us and to continue to help us if they could. So that's what we did. We were still getting a lot of requests for children to be admitted, to take them in. And that was hard too, because we had to say no, because we didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
At that point, we had our bodega was full of food, but we didn't know how long that was going to last.
Yeah.
So we had to change things like family visits. So we have some of our kids here do have family members like grandmas or aunties or people who visit them. And we had to stop that because we obviously had to make it a priority that the safety and the health of everybody here and not let anybody in that wasn't absolutely essential. So that took its toll after a few months. You can imagine, because this has gone on and on.
Yeah.
And so that was hard for kids. And then we couldn't take them out of the house either. So there was no playing soccer in the park, no going to the beach. So it was a challenge. It's been a challenge, but we luckily had a donation to improve our gym. How would you say, instalaciones? Mm-hmm. We have a gym, but we now have a bigger gym. And this enabled us to have a little area with boxing bags and yoga and more equipment. Right. Yeah. So that has become the new
kind of exercise place.
Yes, right? Of recreation, and everything goes on there. So that the kids have every day at least 1 hour in the gym, and they are excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a godsend.
They are kids, You can't bend them up like that.
No. And, a couple of times Juan did try taking them to the park, and they all had their masks on, taking smaller groups, but the police came up and said, you can't have them out here.
Yeah.
Even though there were other people in the park. No, it wasn't an option. So this is what we did. And of course, we took our precautions. So we have the little mat at the door and taking the temperature. So anybody that has had to come through had to have a mask. But we've had situations like police officers who have to come for different legal issues with no mask.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
they're immune,
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So having to deal with some strange situations like that.
Yeah.
But we've made it through it. And now slowly we've been given the kind of amber light, let's say, to lift up a bit and let family come. So now they'll come one at a time, one day at a time, and in a restricted area with the appropriate measures
Great.
to, across the table, so to speak,
excellent.
and no hugging, which is hard.
Yeah.
But
I know. So how about the money? What's going on with that? How can we help with funds?
well, right now we just started our back to school campaign, which we started later than any other year for the same thing. Everything's different, and so it's got off, sent it out on Friday, I believe, and we've had a really slow response. So out of 82 children and youth being sponsored, I think we have 9 sponsored so far. And school it hasn't stopped at all for some of them, but back to school for the majority of them is this month and next month.
Are they going to go to school, or is this going to be one of these
the online? Yeah, so far only one university is, which is Arcos. They're actually going to have proper classes starting in September. We'll see how the others go if they kind of follow suit. But we do have 17 people in our Becca's program, which is university. So it's a little bit scary financially, mainly because it's we don't have that funding. So it's just about prayer. It's
right.
The angels. They always come somehow. So, but thanks to you, you're one of them, and you'll be letting other people know.
Yeah, we got lots of angels that are listeners here, so definitely they'll want to give, and if they want to do that, how do they do that?
Well, they can do that by going on our website, so www.fundacioncorazondeniña.mx, and donate. And we do have, if you're not on our mailing list, let us know, send us an email, and we'll get you on the mailing list and send you the newsletter with the back to school campaign, so you can see what it takes to sponsor a child. For that, it's $395 per child.
For one child for a year. That's not bad.
That's their back to school. That's
okay.
Their anything from school supplies, uniforms, shoes, entrance exams where necessary, medical exams where necessary, books. So we have a basic for our elementary and high school children. We have the basic. It's called SEP. It's the Board of Education, let's say.
Okay.
But we also do an additional program with Santillana, which is an editorial here, very well known, that it's an enriched program so that they have more than just basic education. Yeah. It's more geography, international history, civics and ethics. We have an enriched math program as well that we do. So all of this requires an extra investment. And that's where we look every year to our supporters.
Right, to supplement that, make it all work, and
Yes.
get these kids on the right path.
That's right.
All right. Well, Melissa, thanks for talking to me today, and all you listeners, I'll have that information, of course, in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Click on the link; it'll take you right there, and get on the newsletter. It's a great newsletter. It's always well written, and always fills you in on what's going on. So, thanks again.
Thank you, Barry.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. She is absolutely wonderful. Make sure that you check the link in the show notes. Let's see if we can help sponsor a child or two, maybe three. Let's get them all. Let's get them all sponsored for school. Now, remember, this is the time, to start thinking. Just start thinking about breaking out of your cocoon and living again. Come on to Puerto Vallarta. So anyway, sign up for the newsletter. Share their mission with your friends and your family, and best of luck to you over at Corazon de Nina. Now, next, I want to take you over to Monzon Brewing Company. We had a visit with Reed and Miranda many moons ago, 3 years ago or so, and I wanted to stop by. I wanted to let them know how much we all appreciate them and how cool it is for them to be feeding their neighbors. Let's just go right now and let's find out what they've been doing and what they have planned. Reed, Miranda, thanks for coming back on the show, you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for welcoming us back.
Listen, you guys have been, I've been watching you guys on Facebook, and you're feeding the locals here. Tell us how that's working out. I know that you're just getting ready to pass that on to somebody else.
Yeah.
But tell us how that evolved and what was going on there.
It actually started as an idea to start a nonprofit as a full-time venture, just seeing the need after, various hurricanes or earthquakes, and then now this current situation with the coronavirus. And we started working on that with a friend who was really excited about it, and then he moved back to the States and kind of left this in our lap. And we were working with our lawyer, and he just said it's going to take a year to get the actual nonprofit status. So we said, okay, we can just do this ourselves, and started doing hot meals every Sunday starting back in the beginning of April.
Yep. I think it just came about because we looked around and we realized, of course, every business is hurting right now. Of course, tourism is way down in Vallarta. But the unfortunate reality is a lot of people just don't have the means to cook. They don't have ability to get groceries for a full week. And we thought, if we can help our neighbors by giving a free meal and no questions asked, here it is. That's what community is all about. And we've always really loved Vallarta for the amazing community that it is. And so we've always tried to give back however we can. So this is just one more way that we can help.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Well, it's so heartwarming to see so many people stepping up. Mm-hmm. And you had a volunteer crew coming in and doing all that, helping you out?
Yeah, we've got some of our customers and regulars baking cookies for us every week, and we've got a group of people who are also, staying safe and not going out too much, coming in weekly to help us either prep the food or serve the food. It's a it's a lot of work. It's a pretty big machine once you are churning out 300 plus hot meals.
Yeah, wow.
But it's been rewarding, and it's nice to see that
how people have come together.
Like you said, that other businesses are taking the time and saying, people over profits right now is an important way to go.
Well, and I think for us too, we're really aware that as a business, we have a platform. And we have people that follow us and engage with us. And there's so many people that love Vallarta, and they're not here. And people understand by not being here, it's hurting people in Vallarta. So the number of people that donated has just, it's been amazing.
Staggering.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing is right. Yeah. We all love Vallarta. That's why. Mm-hmm. That's why we're listening to this podcast, aren't we? So let's thank you, by the way. Just thank you for everything you've done. But it's been almost 3 years, actually over 3 years, since we first talked.
Just over, yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on at Manzon? I see that you're bottling now, or you're canning, right?
Canning.
You got canned,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. I'm sure that helps you guys out when we're having this pandemic.
Yeah.
Does it not?
Yes, absolutely. The fact that we just kind of it was actually Christmas 2018. I looked at Miranda, I said, we're not really doing a big Christmas for each other. Can we do a Christmas for the brewery? And pulled the trigger on some equipment to put beer into cans. And I mean, if we hadn't just kind of done that on a whim to just see where it took us, we would be in a little bit of a different situation right now, since we haven't been open since the end of March.
Open for dining.
Open for dining, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but you're now serving food?
We were serving food and doing to-go and delivery. We've done that since mid-March.
Okay.
And again, because we have the cans, we have that ability to deliver them a lot easier, or people can come and just walk by and grab a 6-pack.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's almost as good, not quite as good as being here, but almost as good as being here.
Well, and you've probably noticed that we're doing some construction. I think when you were here the other day, there's a lot of banging and sawing, and so some of the construction is just normal Vallarta wear and tear that every summer you kind of spruce things up, but some of it is directly related to the new normal and making it safer and easier for us to both abide by the rules and protect our employees
team and our customers.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Good. So are you preparing for people to come back?
We are. So we anticipate the construction will last probably for a couple more weeks. It's always, you know how it is doing construction. You have a
you
timeline.
mean another month and a half?
Yeah. And then you don't quite meet that timeline, and we know that. But we have moved our bar from the back to the front, and while the pandemic is happening, we are going to shift to an order at the bar model, because we really want to make sure that our servers are not going table to table, and they are protected as much as possible. That will allow us to do that, and we're hoping September to reopen for dine-in, but no promises.
The city is slow right now. It's much more quiet than your average August in our 3 years of experience. But we do think that there's pent-up demand for travel, and people, like you said, love Vallarta and they want to be here. And I think everyone is kind of slowly understanding that this might be the new normal for a little while, and so we can't just all pause for the rest of our lives or indefinitely. So I think everyone's kind of adapting and getting ready for hopefully what might be something that resembles a high season.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I'm sure that a lot of my listeners are sitting on the edge of their chairs and seats and couches and whatever they're sitting on, and thinking, okay, maybe I can do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I'm here to tell you that you can. And what kind of have you done anything different with the menu? Have you done anything different with the bar area? Anything other, not the bar, but the beer making?
Yeah,
in our 3 years, I think we've nailed down a lot of things. I think
we've always had a menu both on the beer end and in the kitchen that's dynamic and changing, and we're always inspired by what's in season, what new thing strikes our fancy. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of fun experimenting. But right now we're just not selling what we were before, so we have to be really smart about what do we put on the menu that we can save, so that we have less waste. What are we going to put in our beer lineup that sells, or that will sit around for a month and sell slowly but still be okay? It's totally different than when we were in December and we were selling 7 barrels in a couple days. It's completely different now.
We tend to be more kind of West Coast style, and so to that end we have a lot more hoppy beers than you'll find in most other Mexican breweries. And we went from 3 to 4 IPAs on our menu to 1 or 2 because they just don't last as long, and we don't want to sit on an IPA for 2 months because it's just not going to be the same. Right. So we've definitely had to adapt in that way. It's been kind of a mental challenge. We went from always innovating, always trying something new, experimentation, to now, I'm not going to say that we're just playing it safe, but we have to be really thoughtful. We can't have a misstep. We can't say, oh, well, if this beer doesn't work out, we can dump it and try again. Now is not the time to be wasting, thousands and thousands of pesos.
Right.
And on the other end of that, we do have national customers, and people are hurting, right? Everyone's feeling pinched, not just nationals, expats too. So we are having to really push price points, play with specials to have discounts to attract more people, because we understand not everyone has the money to buy a 90 peso IPA when everyone's hurting.
Yeah, understood. I mean, it's something you're figuring out, right, all the time. Is there something that you wanted to add? Is there something that I've missed?
I just think important to us, of course, is wherever you are around the world, support local. There's the big names have made money for many, many years, and every business is struggling right now. No one planned for a global pandemic in their business plan. So support local, support newer businesses. We can tell you, being 3 years old going through this is devastating. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah. From beer to burgers, if you can choose a local mom and pop, then you really are making a difference. So vote with your dollars or your pesos.
Yeah.
And I guess also we want to say thank you to the community here. We're so lucky because we have so many amazing people that we've met. And it's actually really interesting because in doing delivery only and to go, we've gotten to know customers in a different way.
Yeah,
and we've gotten to know
so
new customers better. So thank you to everyone who has supported us, who has reached out, who has let us know that they appreciate what we're doing and that they know it's hard right now.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we can tell you, Barry, that we did not open a brewery tap room to talk to people on Facebook and do deliveries wearing masks. It was not our intention.
Wow,
and so
not
this
your
has
business
been,
model, yeah.
No, and I mean, we wanted to build community, be it, through donations and volunteering or through just the larger beer community in Mexico. Part of what Monzon has always been about is community, and it's different and more difficult to build that when we don't have, people coming into the tap room to share experiences. So, it's been definitely an adaptation. Pivot is the word of the day.
Yeah, well, you guys are great, and what you've done is amazing, and to help the town, and doing the delivery to the people, and you've been very, very conscientious, I think, is the word I'm looking for, and I really, really appreciate that, and I'm sure that all your clients appreciate it too.
Yeah, and I guess if I can add one more thing, just that we have been doing this soup kitchen for
4 months.
Nearing 5 months.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of work. We're doing it 1 day a week, but the 300 meals make a difference. And if any other business owners would like to speak to us, please reach out, and we would love to help someone else take the reins for a little while. If everyone pitches in, then we can really make a pretty big difference. So
Excellent. Yeah, and you've got the model. So if anybody is listening and want to help, you know what to do. Get a hold of Reed.
Yep.
All right. I want to thank you both so much for coming back on the show, and thanks for what you're doing. And we'll all be seeing you this coming season.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Reed. Thank you, Miranda. Listen, guys, if you know anybody, any restaurateurs, anybody there that's got a big heart that wants to take the reins from them, keep this hot meal program going, send Reed a message. I have a link to them, and see if you can find the right guy, or maybe you are the right guy to take over this very, very important project. You can find the links to all of these businesses, actually, by the way, all of them, all the organizations that we talked up, all these people that stepped up and pitched in and that are helping hold things together in Paradise. You know where to go. That's right. You go to the show notes here, and I'll have the pictures, and I'll have all the links right there in this episode. Now, all I can add is that Puerto Vallarta is doing everything that they can to keep your vacation safe, to keep everything compliant. I've been nothing but over the top impressed with the measures that they've taken here to provide a very, very safe and a fun experience for a vacationer. It's true pata salada, even with a mask on. I mean, the spirit is alive and well. The people of Vallarta are asking you, they're pleading with you to give them a chance and to prove to you that their destination is safe and that it's clean and it's here and it's waiting for you, and they are waiting for you with open arms, huge smiles, even though you can't see them because they're, covered up with the mask. But if they got a shield, hey, you can see it, right? Anyway, they want to make sure that you feel and that you are as safe as you can be in paradise. Now, I've done the investigations, right? I've done the work. I've taken the buses. I've taken the Ubers. I've taken taxis and pangas. I've eaten at taco stands. I've eaten at fine restaurants and the diviest of dives, okay? I've stayed in a palace and in a last-minute Airbnb, and I survived it all. I did. I followed the rules. I followed the protocols in flight and on the ground, right? I can attest to the fact that to travel to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, even during a pandemic, is safe, it's doable, and, come give it a try, really. You will not be sorry. All right. That's it for this week. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember that this is a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and his on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. And I have links to all of those in the show notes. Now, once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with every episode I create. If you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have links to the places that we talk about, interesting pictures and more, all right there in my blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right. Now look, once again, this is all up to you. I'm going to throw in my disclaimer. If you don't feel like you are ready, if you're not physically fit, if you are not mentally ready for this, do not go. But let me tell you something. I loved it. I'm going to go back as soon as I possibly can. I want to thank Mario, Captain Mario. Thanks to Jimmy over at Vallarta Food Bank. I want to thank Melissa Canons over at Corazon de Nina. I want to thank Reed and Miranda over at Monzone. Do not forget any of these folks the next time that you return to paradise, or even before you do. Make sure that you give to all the charities that really, really need you. The need is there, and I have links to everybody in the show notes, okay? And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, return to Puerto Vallarta so you can live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, de pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto